Okay, hi everybody. This is the first time this year we're using a Screenomatic. That's the name of the program. The Screenomatic screencasts over here. I'm going to be doing these every so often just to mix things up, keep things even more exciting than they already are. It's a great way for us to review certain things that we're doing. It's a great way for us to introduce some new learning or a new idea that I think is important. And we'll even use it sometimes to introduce a source inside to learn together, which will give you a chance to learn something at your own pace. And it's like you'll have an individual one-on-one chavruta with Rabbi Teller. Super exciting. Okay, what I wanted to use the time for in this screencast is to talk a little bit about the Shulchan Aruch. You started this morning learning the Shulchan Aruch. Like I said, we're going to try to really hone in on what is the final psak halacha. What is the final, how do we actually, what do we actually hold like? Who do we follow in every discussion that we do? So we know what we're actually expected to keep this year on Sukkot. But I thought it would be actually beneficial if we took a few moments to learn a little bit about who the Shulchan Aruch was and to understand his significance and this book's significance in kind of Jewish history, as well as navigating a page of the Shulchan Aruch. I just kind of threw you in there today, but I think it's important just to see what a page looks like. And I got over here kind of two pages we're going to look at. This one over here and this one over here. This is part of the same section in Hilchot Beit HaKnesset. That's not what we're learning this year, but I'm just going to use it as an example. And we'll have a chance to, again, both understand the history over here and also to navigate the page and to be able to identify and label the different parts of the Shulchan Aruch on a page. Okay? So let's start like this. Like we said earlier today, the Mishnah was written in 200 CE by Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. The significance of that was that it was the very first time Torah Shebe'al Peh, what was before the verbal, the oral Torah that was just passed by word of mouth, it was finally written down for the very first time in the year 200 CE, right? Roughly, not just under 2,000 years ago, the Mishnah was written down. 300 years of scholarship ensued, and it eventually became the Gemara. For 300 years, rabbis argued and discussed the Mishnah. The writing down of the Gemara happened in approximately 500 CE, and that was the commentary or the explanation of the Mishnah. Following that, we have the period of the Rishonim. And we're not going to spend a long time on this, but the major Rishonim like Rashi, Tosfot, the Rambam, Ramban, Ibn Ezra. You may have heard these different names before. All of these were the period of the Rishonim that explained the Mishnah, explained the Gemara, and also began writing codes of Jewish law, organized systems of Jewish law. Really, the last of the Rishonim, who's considered the last of the period of the Rishonim, is Rav Yosef Karo, who wrote down the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is considered kind of the capstone, the final project of the Rishonim period. Anything written after the Shulchan Aruch is considered the Achronim, are considered the later commentaries, which continues and extends to this modern day. Okay, but I want to speak a little bit about the history here of the Shulchan Aruch. Again, it was written by Rabbi Yosef Karo. And essentially what he did was, he earlier on wrote a very lengthy commentary on a book called the Tur. That book was called the Beit Yosef. Rav Yosef Karo wrote the Beit Yosef, right after his name, Rav Yosef Karo, as a long commentary on a book called the Tur. He then realized that that lengthy commentary was going to be very difficult for people to read and to understand. It was meant kind of for the real Talmidei Chachamim. So he decided to summarize his Beit Yosef into bit size, to the point, bottom line, what is the halacha l'masa? What is the practical law in each situation, in each case? As any of you who've learned Gemara surely know, when you learn Gemara, you often have no idea, when you finish it, how we actually paskin like, who we hold like. You have this major crazy long machloket, can extend a page or two, and at the end of the day, the Gemara doesn't always say, hey, this is how we follow. Or you have different bits of a machloket in totally different masechtot. And unless you're really holding in all of Shas, again, you really don't know, the entire picture of what's going on. So the Shulchan Aruch, Rav Yosef Karo, following a long list of people that came before him that started organizing, took the Tur's system of organizing Jewish law, and he created the Shulchan Aruch. What he did was, he essentially divided all of Jewish law into four larger books or four larger categories. These four books are called, the first one is called Orach Chaim, which means basically everyday life, Orach Chaim. The second one is, sorry, just that someone came into this room over here. Let's keep going. The first of these four books is called Orach Chaim, which is everyday life. The second one is Even HaEzer. Actually, the second is officially Yoreh De'ah. Third is Even HaEzer. Fourth is Choshen Mishpat. These are four different books that divide all of Jewish law. We're not going to go into what each of these four books are all about. We're just going to focus on the first one, which is called Orach Chaim. Again, out of the four sections, the first one is called Orach Chaim, Everyday Life. It basically is a book that talks about life in the life, basically the typical day or the typical year in the life of a Jew. It starts off with what you do when you wake up in the morning. It goes through the mitzvot of tzitzis, of tefillin, of tefillah. It talks then about Shabbos and all of the holidays. Everything there is in Orach Chaim, right? You might ask them what else is left for the other books. Thank God there's a lot of other topics, kashrut, laws of business. There's plenty to still talk about in the other books. But Orach Chaim really speaks about the everyday life of a Jew. And for most of us, it's the book that's most practical to our kind of everyday experiences. So in the book of Orach Chaim, that's the one that we're going to be focusing on this year. All of Hilchot Sukkah, for example, and Pesachim and Pesach are all going to be in Orach Chaim. And we're going to be typically focusing on that for this year. So I see here, one of the questions that I wanted you to focus on is kind of what was, why did Rav Yosef Karo call his book the Shulchan Aruch, right? Why did he call it the Shulchan Aruch? So Shulchan Aruch is roughly translated as set table or an organized table. The idea was that Rav Yosef Karo, kind of like we said before, he pretty much was laying out for you all of Jewish law into a nice, organized, easy to understand way, like a set table where all you have to come is you just come to the table. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to work hard. You just come to the table and you're ready to eat. So to the Shulchan Aruch, this set table, this organized table, Rav Yosef Karo was basically saying to you, I'm just going to lay out Jewish law for you in a very nice, easy to understand, organized way. You just come to the Beit Midrash, open me up and come learn. It's all going to be there for you. What's interesting is the Shulchan Aruch, when Rav Yosef Karo, when he was writing the Shulchan Aruch, he was taking into consideration more strongly the opinions of the Sephardic Rishonim, specifically the Rif, the Rambam, the Ran, right? He was also taking into account, obviously, the Rosh and other greats on the more Ashkenazic side of things. But typically, the Shulchan Aruch is written for those of a Sephardic demographic. Now, what's interesting to recognize is while the Shulchan Aruch, while Rav Yosef Karo was, kind of compiling and really put together this incredible sefer, the Shulchan Aruch, meanwhile, in a slightly different area, you had a rabbi by the name of Rabbi Moshe Isserlis, otherwise known as the Ramah, Reish Mem Aleph, the Ramah, Rav Moshe Isserlis. And Rav Moshe Isserlis was also contemplating writing a book of organized Jewish law to take into consideration all of the opinions of Ashkenazic Rishonim and Ashkenazic literature that was, through the entire period of the Rishonim, specifically the Rosh, Tosfot, the Maharam, a lot of important Ashkenazic Rishonim that weren't necessarily getting the, kind of the credit that they deserved, and these kind of teachings were becoming undone. The Ramah was considering writing his own sefer, his own book. When he found out or discovered that the Shulchan Aruch, that Rav Yosef Karo was already putting together his Shulchan Aruch, he kind of had the humility to recognize that instead of writing an entirely different sefer, he would just add, almost as a gloss, he would add his own little comments to where he felt Ashkenazic tradition differed from Sephardic tradition. Now, as you're going to see, and anybody who has had some familiarity learning Shulchan Aruch before, there is so much that we all agree on. It's like, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but it's upwards of 80%. Ashkenazim and Sephardim, we agree 100%. We agree totally on. Upwards of 80% at least. It's probably even more than that. But for every place where there's a slight distinction or a difference, the Ramah decided, or Moshe Isserlis decided, he would just add his comments kind of to the side. In that way, giving a voice really to the Ashkenazic poskim, Rishonim, and different commentaries through the ages. So you have typically, when you open up a Shulchan Aruch today, what you see is, in addition to a lot of commentaries, you'll always see the Shulchan Aruch and you'll see the Ramah. Now, you don't see it so much on this page, but let me flip to the next page over here before you actually identify it. How it's kind of done, how publishers have done it, is that looking just above the line, right? Below the line over here are all commentaries. But up here is really the Shulchan Aruch. The bold are the words of Rav Yosef Karo, the Shulchan Aruch. And wherever you have the non-bold, that's just the additions of the Ramah. The Ramah is usually introduced with Hey Gimel Hey, Haga, kind of the comment. And this is the opinion of the Ramah, reflecting kind of Ashkenazic tradition. So in this page over here, I thought it was just a good example because you see it kind of going back and forth, Shulchan Aruch Ramah, as you kind of go through. It's really nice just to see kind of the coming together of Ashkenazim and Sephardim. I kind of like it on a unity front. But it's nice to see when you're looking at a page of the Shulchan Aruch, you're really looking at two people. You're looking at the Shulchan Aruch, Rav Yosef Karo. You're also looking at the Ramah, Rav Moshe Isserles. All right, so with that, I think lengthier introduction on a historical front, you've got really, I think, the answers to the first page of the sheet that I handed you. You can take a moment if you haven't already been answering them as you've gone along. One thing just to point out, really the Shulchan Aruch, or the end of the Rishonim period, really concludes in around 1500, right? I think Rav Yosef Karo was born in the late 1400s, maybe 1480s, 1490s. He probably wrote his Shulchan Aruch in the early 1500s, 1510, 1520. I think he passed away in around 1550 or so. So you've got the early 1500s, this Shulchan Aruch is written, and what I just love to remember, and I spoke about this with a few of you today, just to see kind of the chain of tradition from the Mishnah through the Shulchan Aruch, that's 1,300 years have gone by, and you see like a direct chain over here. You know, I only showed you one Rishon for this sugya, the Rambam, but there are a lot of Rishonim. You can see it just beautifully. It's not like some people ask, hey, did this guy just sit there and make it up? So no, of course not. When you just learn the Shulchan Aruch alone, you might just think he was just putting his pen on a paper. But when you've learned the rest of the sugya, you see that he's drawing from the Mishnah, the Gemara, all the Braitot, the Rishonim, an extensive research. And here he's putting down kind of what Psak Halacha is based on a system that we're not going to go into right now, just because that's a little bit off of our given topic over here. All right. What I asked you to do on the second page was to roughly label on one of your sheets. So what I'd like you to do is take out your source packets, open up to one of the pages of the Shulchan Aruch. Okay, it's not going to look like this one. This one's obviously Hilchot Beit Knesset, but my point is that it's the same for each of them. And what I want to show you just quickly is how to navigate the page so you see kind of what everything is over here. And I'd like you to label it on yours. If you have different colors, you can use different colors, or just your pen or pencil, just to label the different parts of the Shulchan Aruch. So first, we've got let's look over what we want to focus on first. Okay, let's focus first on the Siman, right? The book again, like we said, the Shulchan Aruch is divided into 4 books. The first book is Orach Chaim. Orach Chaim is the book, name of the book. It's divided, just like a regular book, is divided into chapters. When you're referring to the Shulchan Aruch, every chapter is called a Siman. In this case, the Siman that we're on over here is Siman Kuf Nun, right? It's introduced with a number. Kuf Nun. For you Gematria fans out there, Kuf Nun is 150. Kuf is 100, Nun is 50. The Siman over here, the Mispar Siman is 150, and you'll always see that as you kind of go through. They'll always have the Siman up on top, the number, the Mispar Siman, the number of what chapter it is. Again, Siman you can basically say is interchangeable with the word chapter. Siman Kuf Nun means chapter 150. Every Siman also has a name, right? The name of the Siman, the name of the chapter. In this case, it's Hilchot Beit HaKnesset. Typically, it starts with Hilchot something. Here it is, here in general, the entire thing is called Hilchot Beit HaKnesset. That's the halacha we're on right now. The name of this siman is called Binyan Beit HaKnesset V'Sheyeh Gavoa, right? The building of a shul, and then it should be, Gavoa, it should be a certain measurement, a certain height. Okay? So Hilchot Beit HaKnesset really here is just introducing the general topic. The name of the siman, the name of the chapter, the number of the chapter is 150. The name of this chapter is Binyan Beit HaKnesset, the building of a shul. Every siman, every chapter is divided into different laws that are called se'ifim. or a saif. So for example, in chapter 150, Kuf Nun,